Baseball fans woke up to an announcement that had been building for years inside the Toronto clubhouse. The team finally made it official. Kevin Gausman will take the ball on opening day for the Toronto Blue Jays in the 2026 season. For many people who accompanied the team closely, the reaction was immediate. It felt like something that should have happened before, something that had been delayed season after season, and now the moment had finally arrived. When you look back at Gausman's journey with Toronto, it becomes easy to understand why this decision carries so much weight. Since arriving to the organization, he has consistently been one of the most reliable arms in the rotation. Year after year, he has been the type of pitcher every manager loves to have. The guy who goes deep into games, eats innings, and keeps the team competitive almost every time he steps on a mound. In a sport where rotations are constantly shaken by injuries and inconsistency, that kind of stability becomes incredibly valuable. What makes this even more interesting is that this will be the first time Gausman receives the responsibility of starting opening day for Toronto. Throughout previous seasons, that honor went to other pitchers in the rotation, even in years when Gausman was arguably performing at the highest level on the staff. Now, after several strong campaigns wearing the Blue Jays uniform, the veteran right-hander finally gets the nod. For some players, the opening day assignment might not seem like a huge deal on the surface. It is still just one game in a very long season. But inside a clubhouse, everyone knows that starting the first game of the year carries symbolic importance. It represents trust. It represents recognition. And more than anything, it reflects how the organization views that pitcher within the structure of the team. Gausman is not new to this moment either. Earlier in his career, he already experienced the pressure of opening day with other teams. That experience matters. When a pitcher has already stood on that mound during the first game of the season, the atmosphere becomes familiar. The nerves, the energy in the stadium, the attention from the media, it all becomes part of the routine rather than something overwhelming. That veteran presence is exactly what Toronto is counting on right now. The rotation entering the new season carries a mix of experience and uncertainty. There are talented arms, but there are also questions surrounding durability, performance, and health. In that type of scenario, having someone like Gausman leading the rotation provides a certain level of security for the coaching staff. Another factor that adds intrigue to this announcement is the timing within Gausman's contract. The upcoming season represents the final year of his current deal with Toronto. Because of that, the expectations naturally become even bigger. The team is hoping that the veteran right-hander can deliver one more dominant season before reaching that next stage of his career. Over the past few years, Gausman has built a reputation as one of the most dependable pitchers on the roster. His ability to take the ball every fifth day and keep the game under control has made him a central piece of the rotation. Even during seasons when other starters struggled or missed time, he was usually the one maintaining balance for the pitching staff. That consistency is something fans often overlook because it does not always come with flashy headlines. Strikeout totals, velocity numbers, and highlight plays usually steal the attention. But the value of a pitcher who can quietly deliver quality innings across an entire season cannot be overstated. In many ways, Gausman has been exactly that type of presence for Toronto. Still, baseball careers are always evolving. As pitchers move deeper into their 30s, adjustments become essential. The physical tools that once defined their dominance may change slightly over time, forcing them to find new ways to remain effective against major league hitters. Gausman understands that reality better than anyone. During spring training this year, there's already been talk about him experimenting with certain adjustments to his pitch arsenal. One detail that caught attention was the work he has been doing with his slider. The idea behind the change is relatively simple, but the impact could be significant if it works as intended. By slightly altering the grip and the way he approaches the pitch, Gausman is trying to generate a bit more velocity and sharper movement. That small difference in speed can dramatically affect how hitters react. A slider arriving just a few miles per hour faster, with tighter break, can transform from a supporting pitch into a legitimate weapon. For veteran pitchers, this type of experimentation is part of the craft. They study their own mechanics, analyze data, and constantly search for ways to gain even the smallest advantage over opposing hitters. Sometimes the change is mechanical. Other times it is mental. And occasionally it comes down to something as subtle as adjusting the grip of a single pitch. What makes Gausman's situation particularly fascinating is how it connects with the natural progression of his career. At 35 years old, he has already experienced nearly everything the sport can offer. High expectations, difficult seasons, dominant stretches, and the challenge of constantly adapting to a league that studies every detail of a pitcher's game. Yet despite all those years of experience, the desire to improve is still clearly there. That mentality is often what separates pitchers who fade away from those who continue performing deep into their careers. The willingness to evolve keeps them competitive even as younger arms begin entering the league. Inside the Blue Jays clubhouse, teammates recognize that mentality. Younger pitchers in the rotation have the opportunity to observe how a veteran like Gausman prepares for a season. From analyzing hitters to refining mechanics, every step of the process becomes a learning experience for the rest of the staff. And that leadership becomes even more important during a season where the rotation might experience several changes along the way. Injuries, performance swings, and workload management always play a role in how pitching staffs evolve across a long schedule. Having someone who has navigated those challenges before helps stabilize the environment. Looking back at his tenure with Toronto also reveals just how significant his contribution has been. Over the past 4 seasons, Gausman has logged hundreds of innings for the club, frequently placing himself among the team leaders in workload. That type of durability does not always receive the spotlight, but it is one of the foundations of a competitive pitching staff. The numbers tell part of the story, but the bigger picture goes beyond statistics. When fans think about the Blue Jays rotation during this era, Gausman's name inevitably appears among the most recognizable figures. Even with other talented pitchers passing through the roster, his presence has remained constant. Now, with opening day approaching, the spotlight naturally shifts toward that first start of the season. All eyes will be on the mound as the veteran right-hander begins another chapter of his career wearing the Toronto uniform. The expectations are clear, and the opportunity is equally significant. As the conversation around the rotation continues to grow, another layer begins to emerge when evaluating the Blue Jays' pitching staff heading into this season. Even though Kevin Gausman is the one receiving the opening day assignment, the debate about who truly stands as the ace of this rotation is still very much alive. In many teams around Major League Baseball, the opening day starter and the unquestioned ace are the same pitcher. In Toronto's case, the situation feels a little more complex. There are strong arguments suggesting that other arms in the rotation could take that title over the course of the season. Talent is not lacking in this group, and that creates an interesting dynamic. While Gausman brings experience, reliability, and leadership, there are pitchers in the staff capable of delivering dominant performances and potentially leading the rotation statistically by the end of the year. That type of internal competition is not necessarily a problem. In fact, for a team with playoff ambitions, it can become a major strength. Still, the choice to give Gausman the first start sends a clear message about how the organization values his presence. Even if another pitcher eventually emerges as the most electric arm on the roster, the respect earned through years of consistency carries enormous weight. Baseball clubhouses often operate on a balance between performance and credibility, and Gausman has built both throughout his time in Toronto. Another important factor in this discussion revolves around how the rotation will actually be structured once the season begins. Modern baseball no longer follows the old formula where starters simply line up from best to worst and pitch every 5th day without much strategic thought. Managers now consider matchups, workload management, and bullpen dynamics when deciding the order of their starting pitchers. For Toronto, that strategic element becomes particularly interesting. The pitching staff features a variety of profiles, each bringing different strengths to the mound. Some starters are capable of generating swings and misses at a high rate, overwhelming hitters with strikeout ability. Others rely more on contact management, forcing opposing lineups to put the ball in play and trusting the defense behind them. This variety can influence how the coaching staff arranges the rotation. For example, pairing certain pitchers together in consecutive games might help balance bullpen usage. If one starter typically works deep into games while another tends to exit earlier, placing them in a specific order could help distribute innings more efficiently across the pitching staff. Bullpen management has become one of the central chess matches in modern baseball strategy. A single short outing from a starter can create a ripple effect that impacts the relief corps for several days. Because of that, the rotation is no longer viewed as 5 isolated pieces. Instead, it operates as a connected system where each start affects the overall stability of the pitching staff. Gausman's role fits perfectly into that structure. His reputation as an innings eater means the team can often expect him to carry a heavier workload during his starts. When a pitcher consistently works into the 6th or 7th inning, it gives the bullpen breathing room and allows relievers to remain fresh for future games. That type of reliability can quietly influence how the rest of the rotation is organized. There's also the matter of younger pitchers developing within the staff. Early in the season, some starters may operate under stricter workload limits as they gradually build endurance. In those situations, experienced arms like Gausman become even more valuable. They help stabilize the schedule while younger pitchers continue adjusting to the demands of a full major league season. All of this contributes to the broader strategy the coaching staff must manage over the course of a year. A long baseball season rarely follows a predictable path. Injuries appear, performances fluctuate, and unexpected contributors often emerge along the way. The initial rotation that begins the season is rarely identical to the one finishing it months later. That uncertainty makes adaptability one of the most important qualities for a pitching staff. Teams that successfully navigate a long schedule usually find ways to adjust their plans as circumstances change. Managers may reshuffle the order of starters, provide extra rest, or lean on specific matchups, depending on the situation. Within that constantly shifting environment, veteran pitchers often serve as the foundation that keeps everything from becoming chaotic. Gausman's experience allows him to handle different scenarios without losing focus. Whether the team needs him to set the tone early in the season or stabilize the rotation during difficult stretches, he has already faced those challenges before. Another interesting aspect of Toronto's pitching strategy involves how the team approaches certain opponents during the season. Division games, for example, tend to carry extra importance because they directly impact the standings. In some situations, managers prefer aligning their strongest starters against those critical matchups. That means the rotation can occasionally be adjusted to ensure the right pitchers face the right opponents. Off days in the schedule sometimes create opportunities to reshuffle the order and prepare specific arms for specific series. While it may seem like a minor detail, these decisions can influence outcomes in tight divisional races. For the Blue Jays, navigating those strategic choices will be crucial if they hope to compete deep into the season. The American League landscape is always competitive, and small advantages often separate teams fighting for postseason positions. Managing the rotation effectively becomes one of the many ways to gain those advantages. Despite all these moving pieces, the presence of a steady veteran like Gausman simplifies certain aspects of the equation. When a manager knows one starter can consistently deliver quality innings, it provides flexibility elsewhere in the rotation. That stability can allow younger pitchers to develop at their own pace without feeling the pressure of carrying the entire staff. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. The rumor mill in Major League Baseball is spinning at full speed, and at the center of the storm is a headline few expected to read: Aaron Judge to the Dodgers. Sources close to the situation suggest that the Los Angeles franchise may have pulled off one of the most shocking moves of the modern era, bringing the towering slugger to Chavez Ravine in a deal that could reshape the balance of power in the league. For years, Judge has been synonymous with the New York Yankees, the face of the franchise, the captain, and one of the most feared hitters in baseball. His combination of raw power, patience at the plate, and leadership in the clubhouse made him the centerpiece of the Yankees' identity. That is precisely why whispers about a possible move to Los Angeles have stunned fans across the sport. According to early speculation circulating among league insiders, the Dodgers have been quietly positioning themselves for a blockbuster addition to their already star-studded roster. The organization has never shied away from bold moves, and adding Judge would instantly create one of the most intimidating lineups baseball has ever seen. The idea of Judge wearing Dodger blue is almost surreal. At 6'7" with a swing capable of launching baseballs deep into the California night, he would fit the Hollywood aura that surrounds the franchise. Imagine the roar of the crowd at Dodger Stadium as the superstar steps into the batter's box, the anticipation building with every pitch. Of course, nothing has been officially confirmed, and in baseball, rumors can take on a life of their own. Executives around the league are watching closely, wondering if the Dodgers truly managed to land the game's most recognizable slugger, or if this is simply another dramatic chapter in baseball's endless rumor cycle. Still, the mere possibility has electrified the sport. If the whispers turn into reality, the arrival of Aaron Judge in Los Angeles would not just be a transfer. It would be a seismic moment in Major League Baseball, one that could redefine the championship race and create a new era of star power in Dodger blue. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.